Hello MotoGP enthusiasts. Welcome back to ZNGP Today. At a Hall of Fame dinner in Misano, Valentino Rossi joined a panel of legends to dissect the early season form of VR46 riders Marco Bezzecchi and Francesco Bagnaia. Rossi praised Bezzecchi's hunger and feel while offering a blunt assessment of Bagnaia's current struggles, and delivered a striking verdict on machinery versus rider. Even the best talent finds it hard to overcome a clearly inferior bike. Marc Márquez remains the benchmark in MotoGP, chasing a record-equaling 8th Premier Class title, but the reigning champion has made clear that health now outranks trophies. Speaking to Spanish radio, Márquez said he would gladly end his career immediately if it meant avoiding further injuries, a stark reminder of the physical costs behind elite performance and the way recent setbacks have reshaped his priorities. MotoGP organizers are exploring a postponement of the Lusail round amid escalating conflict in the Persian Gulf region. The decision follows security concerns after drone strikes in Doha and broader regional instability, prompting the championship to consider moving the race from its April slot to later in the season. Fabio Quartararo arrives at the mid-season break under pressure after a difficult opening round in Thailand. The 2021 world champion has struggled for pace and confidence on Yamaha's unpredictable M1, and his recent gestures of frustration have underlined growing impatience. As the paddock pauses before Bagnaia, Quartararo has chosen motocross training to reset physically and mentally while Yamaha works on technical fixes. Don't forget to click subscribe button and the bell icon for MotoGP news update. Rossi singled out Marco Bezzecchi as the standout in form, crediting the Aprilia rider's dedication at the VR46 ranch and his ability to translate hard training into race results. Bezzecchi's aggressive style is matched by sensitivity and feedback to engineers, a combination Rossi says has been crucial to Aprilia's recent success. He's very focused. He wants to win. Now. Bezzecchi's move from the VR46 Ducati setup to factory Aprilia has paid off. The bike and rider are clicking, and his physical preparation and technical rapport are obvious strengths. Rossi made a pointed observation about equipment. While Bezzecchi is excelling, the Aprilia is still, in his view, a notch below the Ducati. That led to a memorable line. Beating Marquez with a worse bike? Impossible. The remark underlines Rossi's belief that rider talent can be limited by the package beneath them, and that Bezzecchi's results are therefore even more impressive. The comment reframes Bezzecchi's success as both rider brilliance and efficient use of a slightly inferior platform. Rossi described Francesco Bagnaia as a bit lost, at times, pointing to specific weaknesses on corner entry and braking where he had previously excelled. A recurring technical symptom, Rossi suggested, is rear tire drop late in races, a loss of pace in the closing laps that contrasts with Bagnaia's 2024 strength. His rear tire drops a lot. During the last laps, Pecco is slower. Whether the root cause is setup, tire interaction, or a psychological effect from seeing rivals like Marquez perform, the result is a rider who sometimes struggles to find the confidence he once had. The panel touched on mental factors. Agostini suggested demoralization can sap performance, and Rossi hinted that the presence of a fast teammate, or rival in the garage, notably Marquez, can have a physiological and psychological impact. Bagnaia's precision-based style makes him particularly sensitive to small changes. When things aren't in the right place, he can struggle. The exchange highlighted how technical, physical and mental elements intertwine at the top level, and why a rider's environment matters as much as raw speed. Rossi's conversation with the greats was a compact primer on why MotoGP is rarely reducible to a single factor. Bezzecchi's hunger and feel have elevated him beyond expectations. Bagnaia's dip shows how fragile form can be, and machinery still matters. Even the best rider faces limits when the bike is behind. The Misano discussion underlined a simple truth: talent, tires and tech combine to shape a season, and small margins decide who thrives. Marquez's trajectory has been defined by a dramatic recovery. After career-threatening injuries to his arm and eyes, a high-risk move from Honda to Gresini and then to Ducati, he rebuilt himself into a title winner. Those years of rehabilitation, he says, changed him profoundly. When you're injured, you're in a cage. But as soon as the doctor opens it a little, you immediately escape. In those 3 years of injuries, I matured twice as much as in 10 years of winning. The comment frames his recent success not as a simple comeback but as the product of hard-won maturity and a recalibrated view of what matters most. Asked whether he would trade future racing for guaranteed health, Marquez was unequivocal. He would sign right now to retire without further injuries. That stance places physical well-being above additional titles, even as he remains determined to compete and win. I'd sign to retire without any more injuries. I'd sign for that right now. Then winning another world championship? I'll obviously try. The duality is telling. Marquez still craves success, but not at the cost of long-term health. Despite his return to the front, Marquez admits he is not yet at full capacity. A shoulder injury sustained in Mandalika continues to affect braking strength and corner entry, particularly on right-hand turns. He has adapted by using a less physically demanding aerodynamic package and by refining his riding style, but the deficit remains a work in progress. I'm still not riding the bike like I want. I lose the bike in some right corners. The admission explains why Marquez has been cautious with setup choices and why physical conditioning remains central to his program. The opening round in Thailand underlined the fine margins he faces. A late sprint penalty cost him victory and a wheel rim failure forced retirement in the Grand Prix. Those setbacks left Marquez trailing the championship leader by 23 points heading to Bagnaia. Rumors of a 2027 pairing with Pedro Acosta at Ducati add another subplot to his season. On any given weekend, a single mechanical issue or stewarding call can swing momentum, and for a rider managing recovery, the margin for error is even smaller. Marc Márquez's comments strip away the glamour to reveal the human calculus behind elite sport, the desire to win tempered by the cost of doing so. He remains a fierce competitor, intent on adding to his legacy, but his readiness to prioritize health signals a new chapter, one where measured ambition and self-preservation coexist. As the season unfolds, how he balances recovery, adaptation, and the relentless pursuit of victory will define both his results and his long-term well-being. The outbreak of hostilities and recent attacks on Doha infrastructure have raised safety and logistical questions for teams, personnel, and fans. Promoters and MotoGP Sports Entertainment are prioritizing the welfare of the paddock and the feasibility of staging an international event under uncertain conditions. Postponement is being treated as the preferred option over outright cancellation, reflecting the disruption and cost that a cancelled round would cause. The move aims to preserve the race while avoiding unnecessary risk to participants and spectators. Motorsport.com reports the most likely alternative is to reschedule Lusail for the weekend of November 7th to 8th, turning Qatar into part of a late-season triple-header that would include Australia and Malaysia. That shift would cascade through the calendar, pushing Portimao and the season finale in Valencia back by a week and extending the championship into late November. Collective tests and prototype programs would also be delayed accordingly. Rescheduling requires complex logistics, freight, travel, broadcast windows, and local arrangements, but keeps the event on the calendar rather than removing it. Moving Qatar to November would compress the end of the season and alter teams' development timetables, including the collective test dates for 2027 prototypes. It could affect tire and aero programs, spare parts shipments, and personnel rotations, and would force teams to adapt their race preparation and travel plans. For riders and staff, a longer season increases physical and operational demands. The change would also influence championship dynamics, with weather and track conditions in November differing from April and potentially affecting competitive outcomes. Liberty Media, which owns MotoGP's promoter, is weighing options carefully and has a precedent of exhausting rescheduling possibilities before canceling events. The situation mirrors challenges facing other series, notably Formula One, where Middle Eastern rounds have faced uncertainty. Promoters are coordinating with local authorities and international partners to find a viable solution that balances safety, commercial obligations, and sporting integrity. Any final decision will aim to minimize disruption while protecting the championship's global footprint. MotoGP's likely postponement of the Qatar Grand Prix reflects the sport's need to adapt quickly to geopolitical shocks. Rescheduling offers a way to preserve the event and protect participants, but it will reshape the late-season calendar and development timelines. Teams, riders, and organizers now await a formal announcement as they prepare contingency plans for a season that may look different by the time it reaches its final rounds. Quartararo's weekend in Buriram produced a lowly 14th in the Grand Prix and 16th in the sprint, a stark contrast to the title-contending performances he delivered 3 years earlier. The M1's instability, particularly its deficit in acceleration and corner stability compared with Ducati and Aprilia, left the Frenchman searching for answers. The raw results are worrying for a rider used to fighting at the front. They also expose how quickly confidence can erode when the bike does not respond predictably. Visible signs of irritation, including gestures during testing, have fueled speculation about Quartararo's relationship with Yamaha's development direction. His social posts and candid comments suggest a rider who feels let down by promised improvements that have yet to materialize. "I just want to make sure I still know how to ride," he wrote, framing his motocross sessions as a way to reconnect with fundamentals and rebuild self-belief. The image of a champion retreating to basics is telling. When machinery fails to deliver, riders often return to core skills to regain rhythm and confidence. Yamaha's M1 remains inconsistent, with engineers still seeking solutions for acceleration, stability, and overall predictability. The team's winter work has not produced the step forward Quartararo expected, leaving him to manage a bike that can be fast in bursts but unreliable over race distance. Technical fixes will be essential, but they must be matched by clear communication and a development plan that restores the rider's trust in the package. The inaugural Bagnaia round offers a fresh start. A new circuit levels the experience field and reduces the advantage of riders with extensive MotoGP track knowledge. For Quartararo, the weekend is a chance to translate motocross sharpened confidence into better first practice performance, and to pressure Yamaha for tangible upgrades. A strong showing in Brazil would arrest the narrative of decline and buy time for a more considered development path. Quartararo's season has begun with frustration rather than momentum. His choice to focus on motocross and fundamentals signals a rider determined to reclaim control, but the onus is on Yamaha to deliver a more stable, competitive M1. Brazil will be an early litmus test. If Quartararo can convert regained confidence into pace, the championship remains within reach. If not, the pressure on both rider and factory will intensify. Thanks for watching ZNGP Today, and this is your MotoGP news update. And see you next time!